to start off with, everybody has this fascinating story about why they got into academia. And I would really love to hear a story about how you got into academia and how you've been there for over 30 years now. So we'd love to hear your story in your own words.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I think throughout my professional journey, I have a guiding principle, which is to love learnings and also listening and transmitting knowledge. When I was teenagers, I was a tennis instructor for children and teaching them to love tennis and the passion for the game. Mm-hmm. So that's why after studying, financial accounting in a master level and also an MBA at the university in Paris. So I began my career in the private sector, working for major international audit firm and consultant firm for 15 years. So I was passionate about this and developed expertise in this field. So, however, I felt something was missing in terms of intellectual curiosity, fulfillment. So I started a PhD to step back from practice. So that begins, how I became a part-time lecturer because my supervisor was a professor at HEC Paris. Mm-hmm. So he asked me in 96 to be a part-time lecturer. So I was PhD student at the time. So to do some lectures in cost accounting. So that's how it starts.
So how did you consider doing a PhD? Did you feel like that was the path for you, especially after your MBA?
Because after my MBA, I work and then, I felt that something missing. So, because I'm very curious person. So I like, to challenge and also to improve. So I became very quickly partners, and so that's why I said something missing. So I have to have another degrees, but the PhD degrees. Why? Because they provide you a more academic framework, how to perceive, how to analyze the words, what the word will become, and this kind of a perspective view. So this is important. So that I never thought that there was one day I become professors.
Okay. So sometimes academia chooses you, and sometimes people choose academia. So in your case, what is that?
Actually, I found that education is very noble. So, thanks to my supervisor, PhD supervisor, he, gave me the chance to teach in the top business school in Europe. So I found that it's very interesting, as I said, because I have a guiding principle of in terms of learnings, listening, and also transmitting knowledge and expertise. So that's why I think that thanks to this chance, this opportunity, so of course I enjoyed very much, and so that I became professors and as assistant professors. One day ESCP asked me to be a permanent professor as part-time permanent, and then I say yes, and then after I'm inside, I saw, wow, what a wonderful community. In terms of students, they are brilliant, but they are very humble. In terms of professors, they are very brilliant and very humble. And these big communities. So I said, okay, so I have to quit, my partner position in consultant firm and to become assistant professors. Because as I said, education is very noble.
So, after you have become a professor, I'm assuming you also had a chance to consult with companies. So there are these multiple roles you're playing. You're a professor, corporate management advisor, consultant, and a dean as well. So can you sort of tell us, how do you manage all of these different roles and do them justice?
Yes, of course, my journey is very packed, my agenda. But, I don't see any contradictory, I think everything, you have to have a holistic view, and you have to manage everything, because I'm very curious. Of course, now I'm not consultant anymore, but because I don't have time. But I'm still advisor, for great, schools or NGO organizations and so on, or for the government. But I'm still teaching, in class, because this is important, to understand what are the expectations of the students, and also to deliver my experience and share my experience to them, not only in terms of expertise, but in terms of behavior, attitude. This is also important.
Okay. So one of the challenges that somebody faces as they rise to the top is usually they have taught a lot. So they're extremely good professors. And becoming a dean is a leap from being a professor to keeping professors happy while being extremely good at administration, right? And so professors love to teach, and then soon they have to become good at administrating the value system at the school. So how has your journey been from a professor to that of a dean?
Yes, as I said, I start with the first level as part-time lecturer, and then assistant professors, associate professors, and full professors. So it's not only about teaching; it's also about doing research, and also, as you said, about to manage program and so on. So I have the chance to do that, and also to start to do international relation in relation with mainland China, and then in Asia, and then globally. And then one day, the former deans asked me to be part of the executive committee, and also to have another portfolio, which is a very big. It's an academic portfolio. Academic means programs, student experience, etc. So that's I combine both international relations plus academic programs, etc. So that's why it's how it comes, because you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and also to listen to your colleagues, your community, and to learn from them. And this is a collective work, actually. And so, as you mentioned, the second point, which is important, when you are a dean, you're also managing one organization, So you have to implement the strategies. You have to have a vision, and also you have to deliver excellence. So this is also important.
Right. So you mentioned about your international focus, and I remember reading that you had traveled a lot and completed a lot of international agreements with other schools, amongst other things. Now, how has this impacted the school and your thoughts on management, leadership, and culture?
Of course, my journey started with my PhD, because it was in relation with intercultural management, so in Asia. So that's why, and also before, when I work as a consultant, so I have the opportunity, the chance to travel all around the world for assignment with the companies. So that's why I already have this kind of journey. And as you mentioned, beside that, this is very important also to discuss among your peers, around the world, and in order to understand what will be the future, what are common difficulties, what are common challenges, what are common issues, and also to understand how the students, your future students, what they would like to expect, So that's why, thanks to that, you can have and design or adjust your curriculum in the different program, and also in terms of portfolios of programs as well.
Okay. So in your experience of having taught so many years, how do you feel that ESCP is different from other programs? What are the key strengths that you believe this global setup that you have, what does it bring to the program?
For sure, you have two DNA at ESCP. The first is entrepreneurship. You know that the first dean coined the term entrepreneurs, the French, and before the French term entrepreneurs or the verb it means to undertake was to how to seduce a woman, before the French term. And now to be entrepreneurs is how to seduce investors. You see what I mean? So this is part of the DNA of ESCP. The second DNA is international. In 1824, 1/3 of the total cohort of the school was international student with 19 nationalities. So this is the two DNA. And of course, now the third DNA of ESCP is Europe. We are a pan-European business school. But beside that, beside these three DNAs, of ESCP, I would add 5 mindsets, which make ESCP differentiate and different from other business schools. Because 7 years ago, I asked to all of my dear colleagues and programs to set up 5 mindsets. The first mindset that everyone has to acquire for students is ESG criteria mindset. So ESG, environmental, social governance criteria, including ethics. The second mindset that each student should acquire is the technology mindset. I call ABCD: AI, big data, blockchain, cybersecurity, coding, digital transformation. The third mindset is entrepreneurial mindset, which is part of our DNA. And the fourth mindset, combined with the three of the first, is multicultural mindset, which means how to collaborate with different nationalities, how to move between cultures. And the last mindset is hybridizations of expertise, how you have a multi-competencies, a multi-skills. So that's why this is the 5 mindset that each student in each program should acquire. So that's make us different from other business schools.
So I like your in-depth answer, and I really want to know, how do you ensure that the students develop these traits? Because these are not easy traits to develop, and this has a lot of breadth as well. When you're talking about AI, blockchain, coding, I mean, this is a very wide set of skill sets that somebody might require. So I'm curious about, how do you help your students acquire these skill sets and traits?
Yes, for each mindset, actually we have courses, we have seminars, we have workshops, and also some of the program, they have consultancy project. See, that's why how our professors provide them this expertise, and also external, guest lecturers that provide that. So this is important. And so for us is to have this agility, as you mentioned, for the technology, Gen AI, for example, as technology is moving so fast, so it's not to follow the technology, but you have to take on the train, you see. And so if you have this agility, this mindset, so for sure that you will be able, of course, to learn, but at the same time, even to acquire expertise, and also to provide expertise.
So, Dr. Léon, one of the challenges of, so the best part about being in a 204-year organization is you have a lot of heritage. And sometimes the challenges of being in a 204-year organization is that things move slowly because there is a lot of history. So I'm curious about your experiences about how you take this advantage of what you have, and how are you moving as fast as you can in the current education space?
Yes, I used to say we are a young lady of 204 years old. So we are a startup, a mindset. So that's why we have to be agile. That's why we have to be humble, and we have to learn with others. So that's why this is important. So as you mentioned, that because we cross all a multi-crisis, sometimes which is a benefit in terms of growth to the earth, to the organization, and so on. And sometimes, and also we have wars and so on. So you see that the history of the school, as you mentioned, it's very important. That's why we have to stay humble, because I used to say to each student, now you are enter not only a top business school in the world, you are enter in the world institutions, and now you will write a beautiful, marvelous story for school. So that's why you have to be very optimistic about what is going. So that's this kind of thinking. It's also important.
Okay. So whenever any school dean tries to make significant changes to the school, we have heard from other deans that the biggest challenges are not the students, but the professors. And they say it in a manner because they've realized that the true intellectual horsepower is coming from the professors, all the research. But invariably, professors are also slow to change. And so my question to you is, how do you ensure that your organization and your professors are still moving at a fairly fast pace and evolving and transforming? As you say, you're a startup-like mindset.
Yes, this is very interesting questions. As I mentioned, not only professors, but professional staff and administrative staff as well, because this is part of the culture, of each or in each organization. So for me, it's a collective work. So you have to provide them a vision. And do we share the same vision, about what we want to do? And also to embed them. I think this is very important, to say, you think about that. So provide me initiative on that perspective and so on. So we have this kind of collective workshop and kind of collective contribution. I used to say, we have this kind of collective intelligence. So I like to spend time and also to listen to them, and also they can provide some insight. So that's why we take into account. And thanks to this collective work, we can collectively contribute and move forward.
Okay. So Professor Léon, what are the top 2 or 3 things in terms of initiatives that you are focused on for the next 3 to 5 years that you feel will allow the institution to step into its future growth?
You know that we're living in a world of transformations. We have 3 main transformations. The first is ecological transformation. The second is technological transformations, even disruptions. And the third is, of course, societal transformations. So I include inclusion, diversity, and also geopolitical, issues. So based on these 3 main transformations, this is the responsibility, the accountability of business school to accompany and to solve this main 3 transformation. So this is the 3 main things that we're doing at ESCP. The first is how we can reduce carbon footprint. The second is how we can use technology, Gen AI, to improve the student experience, and also to use this Gen AI not to replace our faculty members, but as an assistant. So how to enhance this learning experience. And the third is about inclusion diversity. because my conviction is diversity, inclusion, they are levers for performance. So that's why we're working in these three main dimensions.
Okay. Since you've worked with a lot of French businesses, in your opinion, what are some of the things that French businesses are doing right so that they can stand out in today's world? And how do you see the future of French businesses in this global environment?
You know, what is important is the soft skills, the soft power. And the soft powers is, I would say in French, is art de vivre, the art of living, the standard of living. This is typically French, and that's make us one of the levels of performance of big companies. For sure that when you think about France, you will think about luxury, you will think about cultures, you will think about tourism, and sometimes you will think about sport like soccer and so on. But you don't think about science. France is a nation of science. It's a scientific nation, but we don't see. We have Airbus, we have nuclear, we have in telecommunication and railways and so on. We have so many things, satellite and so on. But we never thought about that, even in biopharmaceutical and so on. So this is important because why of that? Because French, we have this kind of software, I said, soft power, and it's also software, this is culture, so very peculiar. The second thing is our critical thinking, which is very good, And also the third thing is we have this kind of scientific rigors. We want to demonstrate. So that's why, and also this demonstration is also through cultures. So that's why when we combine these three, you can see that the French, you have a very big companies in the world and they succeed. So I think that thanks to this make French companies, peculiar and also succeed.
Okay. So in your perspective, what are the three critical factors that a MBA aspirant who's considering a business school, what are some of the things they should look at before deciding on a business school?
Yes. You mean before entering a business school, right, for the MBA? I think that the first is, of course, the reputations of the school. And the second, because the reputation means do this MBA program in this school will provide me a best experience. For sure that the second point that each candidate is looking for is how to boost your career, your employability. This is for sure. So you have to look about the strength of your global network of this school, global community. And the third is what kind of expertise, as you mentioned, in terms of, is it in top notch? Is it fit what the companies require? Like for today, sustainability and Gen AI, for example. This is the two most important topics, hot topics, I would say, that a lot of companies they are looking for. And of course, beside that, you have this kind of foundation, which means discipline of management that will provide you to be a future responsible, accountable leaders to initiate projects that impact positively the planet, organization, and societies.
Okay. So if there is a student who's applying to the ESCP business school, what kind of advice would you give this individual? What would you ask them to look at? And what kind of a student would you be extremely happy if they applied to your business school?
The first is international, profile. And also the will to work globally and to move from one country to another country. That's to have what we call this global mobility, because we prepare them for this global mobility. The second, for sure, is that how they can contribute in our programs, because, interactions. curiosity, challenge our professors, challenge also the class. So that's very important because, you know, when a class is stopped because of the participants, so that's why it's what we want. So we want this kind of diversity in terms of class. So that's why at ESCP we encourage diversity. So that's why we, as you know, Financial Times ranks ESCP 25 in the world, and for the criteria in terms of international student is number one, in the world for this criteria.
Okay. So I have this question. So, over a 200 plus year heritage, if you had to mention a couple of things which a student might consider a hidden gem, they'd be like surprised. Oh, wow, I did not know about that. What would be the 2 or 3 hidden gems of ESCP Business School?
I think the first is entrepreneurship. Even so, what is strike me, that's how our alumni can raise funding when they create their startup. Months ago, a British journals show that in Europe, the best universities who can raise funding, ESCP was ranked number 5 among the top universities, and number 1 for business school. You see, so because with our alumni from master degrees, so graduate program, succeeded to raise $5.4 billion US. So you see that's very interesting in terms of. So I think that's the wow is about that, how we can provide a best environment that thanks to our incubators, we have incubators which call Blue Factories across our campuses. So we can provide that this kind of learning, and also how to create their startup and also to scale up their startup. So this is, I think, the first thing that they would say, wow. The second thing I would say, this is intercultural intelligence. As we have 6 campuses in Europe, it is forbidden compulsory that for each student, they need to move from one campus to another campus. So they will gain this intercultural intelligence. So that's also important. And the third, I would say, it's our community, our global community. Do you know that we have 80,000 alumni in 190 countries? So you say, wow, because I think
80,000 globally?
80,000, yes, graduates. So you see that this is important. And so you can meet one ESCP graduate in 190 countries. So the network is very important. So I think this is the 3 main points. And also I would add, if you allow me, the fourth is our humanistic values. Because humanistic values means, of course, respect, empathy, benevolence. Also, humanistic values mean how to improve, as we said, this kind of personal development. So this is important.
So I have a personal question for you. So according to you, what are the aspects of measuring success, be it personal or professional?
Success is a journey, never a destination. So success is you have to see at your level, because you have to be humble. Of course, you have to be ambitious, and so you can set some objectives, and then when we reach, you say that you succeed, because you achieve this objective. So that's the point. I think success is always linked with how you can improve, how you can learn. It means learning to learn, The more you learn, the more you will learn faster, and so on. And the more you will appreciate, the more you will become curious. I think that's more important than the results, the outcome.
Okay. And I have left the trickiest question for the last. And it is, if you had to explain what an MBA is in less than 10 words, what would it be?
It's our ESCP MBA provide international and European experience to impact positively the world.
I think you crossed 10 words, so you...
I crossed 10 words.
You did cross 10 words. So can you take another shot at it? And I want you to take an impromptu start, because I know people come prepared for this question. And when I forced it to sort of do it again, something new and amazing comes up. So if you can, I might request you to take one more shot. What is an MBA in 10 words?
MBA is European, with our MBA is European rules, global positive impact.
That's a fantastic line. Now, see, that's a fantastic line. So I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And my final question to you is there any question you wish I had asked you?
To ask to who?
To you, that I missed and I could have asked you.
Oh, to me?
Yeah.
I think that's a good question is, what will be your, I would say, if you have a second life, what will be, kind of positions or profession that you will have to,
Fantastic. And so I'm going to ask you, Léon. So Léon, if you had a second life, what kind of position do you expect to be or see yourself in?
I think I will for sure to be an educator. So that's very interesting, that's because, when I was teenagers, I dreamed to be to work in advertisements, companies and in the ads, because I like creativity and so on. You see that educator is the most beautiful and wonderful, work, and I like very much. So that's you see, this is interesting because my second life, I could be another person and with another job, but it's still.
But it is fantastic that you think about education in such a human, a gentle manner where there is a lot of responsibility in doing the right thing. And I think it comes through in your words and in your actions. And so thank you very much, Léon, for taking the time to talk to us. And it was indeed a fantastic pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. See you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.